of fuzziness in the background. That's because I'm using what is called a green screen and it waves a little bit. That's why it actually looks like dark clouds a little bit. So hopefully you can see me okay and hear me okay. If it looks like I'm looking down, that's because my camcorder is on top of the monitor, so it always looks like I'm looking down, which is actually not much I can do about that. Anyway, I'm your instructor. My name is Alan Hope. I'm actually Dr. Alan Hope, but you can call me Alan Hope. That's the name my mother gave me. You can call me even Alan, that's fine. I'm not hung up on titles. Titles are something that people get, they earn. It's not who they are. It's a degree that allows you to do certain things. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that because then I'll end up preaching. I grew up in a medical family. I have a brother that's a doctor. My dad's still alive, believe it or not. He's a retired doctor. So I'm very familiar with the medical field. I'm not an MD, but I am a PhD, and I've studied nutrition a lot. I mean, a lot over the years. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you've looked at the website, any, or the Canvas site, and read some of the information, some have, most probably haven't, that's okay, then you're going to realize that my opinion, it's not really an opinion because there's research behind it, is might be different than some of the opinion or some of the information that you may be getting from other people, including your own doctor. Like I said, just because they're an MD doesn't mean they know about nutrition. They might know about medicine in their field, and they might have heard a little bit about nutrition and know something about it. They're more likely to know anatomy and physiology than they are nutrition. I've taught anatomy and physiology for many years in the Cal State system. That is completely different than nutrition. To kind of put your mind at ease a little bit, this is not a difficult class. Even though you look at all those assignments, you might say, wow, that's a lot of work. It's actually really not, because most of it, as I explained on the website, is simple. For example, at the end of this meeting, and I'll show you this when we do a little tour, I do a little screen share of the Canvas site, kind of showing you how you can get extra points and things like that. At the end of this meeting, there's a little quiz you take, and it has 3 simple questions. The questions are enter code 1, enter code 2, and enter code number 3. And I'm actually going to give you those 3 codes and show you how to take the little quiz. And that's a free 15 points. Now, when I say free, they're not bonus points. They're part of your grade, but they're basically free in the sense that you don't have to do anything. So right now, if you have a pen or a pencil or a really good memory, I would suggest writing this down. Code number 1, and I'm looking at it, is 434. So make a note of that. Code number 1 is 434. I'm going to give you code number 2 here in a little bit in the middle of the meeting, and I'm going to give you code number 3 at the end of the meeting. The reason I do this is because these Zoom meetings are not really required. And when you say that, then nobody shows up, but you can't require somebody to be here because this is not like a meeting in person where you have to meet at a certain time. There might be actually people working tonight or can't be here, or they'd rather watch the recording. What this does, it kind of forces people to go back and watch the recording and get the 3 codes and take the quiz. The quiz is open the entire week. So if you don't take it after this meeting, but you have the 3 codes, you can do that. Now, this whole course is set up like that. Most of Canvas courses are set up like that, or they should be. Now, don't get me in trouble with another instructor because of me my saying that this is the best way to do it, but I believe it actually is. All the assignments that are due that week aren't due until the end of the week, which is Sunday at midnight. Technically 11:59 p.m., which is 1 minute before midnight. So you have the whole week to complete that week's assignments. which includes this little quiz too. But why wait till then? I mean, take it at the end of the meeting, and that way you get your free points. So as we go through this, even though it's scheduled for 2 hours, it's scheduled for 2 hours. This is not going to go 2 hours. I'll probably go about 1 hour. So in about 30 minutes, I'll give you the second code. One more time, the first code is 434, and I'll give you the second code in about 30 minutes. At the end of the meeting, I'll give you the third code, and then you'll enter that. And I'll show you here in a little bit. So to talk about the book a little bit, because somebody asked me about the book. Now, as I said in one of my announcements, be sure and check your announcements every couple of days, because there might be something new. And I always send announcements just to kind of keep you informed. I'm not in the business of making Valley College Bookstore a bunch of money at the expense of students. You can order the book and the ebook. I'm afraid to ask what it costs, probably $150 or something, which is outrageous. Now, I had to order that through the bookstore. Now, you can use just a hard copy of the book, or you can use the ebook. If you get the ebook, you get what is called Launchpad, which has a bunch of quizzes and assignments and readings. I don't use that. On the tests, I don't use their tests. I've made my own tests, which I actually think are better than their tests. And on the tests, as I've mentioned this, I think I've mentioned this earlier. On the test, you have 2 chances on the test. And I'm going to set it up on the final exam where you have 2 chances also. That means if you didn't do that well in the first round, the second round, you have another shot. Now, the tests obviously are open book and open notes. Now, an instructor can say, no, you have to take a closed book. I mean, but what are they going to do? This is online. I mean, you could have the book at your side and they wouldn't even know it. And I cannot stand these utilities, like one's called Proctorial, all these other things that monitor you while you're taking a test, and you have to put your camera there and scan your. Has anybody ever taken a class that uses that? You can unmute and tell me yes if you have. And,
yes, I did, and it's crazy. Sorry.
Yeah, that's like I said. If you have a question, you can. I don't care if somebody interrupts me at any time. You can, even when I'm talking, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm not that hung up on that. But I don't use those kinds of things because I think they're too invasive and there's too many ways to get around it. And open book and open notes is the way to go. Because if somebody asks me, let me give you an example in nutrition. And I've seen these kinds of questions on tests. And unfortunately, my tests, a lot of them, even though I made the tests, they do come from the book. I did put some of my own questions in it, but the book sometimes has stupid questions. Let me give you an example of a stupid nutrition question. Approximately how many calories are in a Big Mac? And then on the answers, the choices, they'll have like A, 1,200, B, 1,300, C, 1,400, and D, 2,000. I wouldn't even know how to answer that question. I have no idea. I would say a bunch. That is just trivia. That means you're good at trivial pursuit. It doesn't have anything to do with nutrition. A better question would be, what is a calorie? Explain, how calories are calculated. Although I'm not big on numbers and stuff like that. That is why I make the test open book and open notes in case you get a question like that you have your book right there that you can look it up. And you can look it up in the ebook also. Now, if you decide to buy the ebook, I've had students tell me, hey, the ebook is easier to look questions up because there's more than just the book that comes with the ebook. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes with it. So you might be better off buying the ebook, but if you're trying to save money, you can get the regular book. Now, one more thing I want to address on the book. There's 2 editions to this book. There's the first and the second edition. The tests are made from the second edition. However, when I compare the first edition to the second edition, they seem very close to me. They rearranged a few of the chapters. They might have added or deleted a chapter, but there's not a huge difference. There's some, so don't get me wrong. If you buy the first edition and you say, oh, it didn't help me on the test, I needed the second edition, well, then that's your choice. But I have had some students, doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, get online like eBay, because eBay links to Amazon and half.com, all these websites. There's a million websites you can buy textbooks from. I've had some students say, hey, I bought the first edition and it worked fine. And when I look at the prices of the first edition, I see prices like $10, $12. Yeah, somebody said and you can message it anytime, everybody can see it, that's fine. Maya said she bought it for $7, the first edition, and that will probably work fine. It's not quite as good as the second edition. So if you have a grant or somebody's paying for your books, then hey, go ahead and get the second edition. But if you're having to do it yourself, then it's up to you. eBay, yeah, I think eBay has a zillion of them in stock. Maybe not anymore for $7, but I bet they have them for 10 and 12, 15, that kind of stuff. Now, most of the time when you buy those books, it says used. My experience in the last 20 years using eBay, when it says used, they're barely used. They're almost brand new. You can hardly tell the difference. Even if it says fair condition, those seem really good too. Yeah, somebody said Amazon has them. There's somebody messaged that they're almost all of them for under $20, the first edition, and that's fine. Now, since we're on that subject, let me talk about this a little bit. The tests are actually made, 95% of them are made from the study guides, which open up, actually the study guides are all open right now. There's 15 chapters with the book, at least the second edition. I'm not sure on the first edition. I think there might be plus or minus 1 or 2 chapters. But if you go, and I'll show you in a minute, you can download the, somebody got it brand new for $60 on the second. That's actually pretty good because the second edition, every time I look at it, it's like 90 or 100. Now, sometimes they sell them with the book with the Launchpad access, but you don't have to have that, or just the ebook, which will actually work. But I think when you get the ebook, you get the other stuff with it too. I mean, that's pretty automatic. And sometimes you can rent the ebook. You can rent the second edition of the ebook for like 4 months, and that works fine. I don't know how much that is, but it should be around $25 or $30. I don't know. Check with Valley's bookstore and tell them you just want to rent the ebook second edition, and it shouldn't be an outrageous price. I think they just recently ordered them. Now, going back to the test. The tests are the hardest part of this class. Although they're not that hard, I don't want you to really worry about it that much. If you do your study guides and have your book, you're good to go. Now, the first test is made from the first 3 chapters, and there's so you would do the first 3 study guides, and then there's what's called, I forgot what it's called, Spotlight like A and Spotlight B, which are study guides, so there might be 5. And these study guides do take a little bit of time to work. However, I've set it up where you can work on them together. And when I mean work on them together, every Wednesday, I can't remember the time, I think it's at 3 o'clock. I set up through Comfort Zoom, and I'll show you on the left here in a minute, a 2-hour session that you can join. All 3 classes are in it together. Actually, they're not. The Comfort Zoom is by individual class. But anyway, this class it's set up where you don't have to be there exactly at 3, but if you click on it, you can join, and it's the same thing as Zoom. Comfort Zoom and Zoom are the same thing, and there's no difference. I mean, on your Canvas side, it's going to say Comfort Zoom on the left, and that links to Zoom. It's just a community college thing. that links to Zoom. It's California Zoom is what the C stands for, California Zoom, California Community Colleges. But anyway, when you go there probably will be some other students from the class, and you can text each other, you can do the video screen share, you can chat, you can say, okay, you work study guide chapter 1, I'll work study guide chapter 2, somebody else do 3, somebody else do spotlight A and B. I wouldn't do them by myself. I would work with everybody else to work these study guides because it will take too long. Now remember, if you have the study guide, because the study guide has the questions, the exact questions. I'm talking about the questions that are exactly phrased in that manner on the test. So you'll have the vast majority, not all of it, at least 95%, 90 to 95% of it already done when you take the test, if you work your study guide to alleviate your fears a little bit. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna do a little screen share, which means don't unmute you don't have to turn on your microphones or anything, and you should be able to see what I'm seeing. We'll find out. So here we go. This is a little screen share. So somebody unmute and tell me they're looking at my screen with like somebody running. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just my desktop.
Yes.
This is like an ultra wide desktop. I sent a message to students because sometimes students use wide monitors or ultra wide monitors, especially for gaming, if you're big time into gaming. And Canvas actually has a glitch with ultra wide monitors that nobody seems to recognize but me, that when you go to the syllabus page, it becomes very narrow. If you run into that problem, it's not going to affect anything. Just message me and let me know, or send me an email. That way I can send it to the people at Valley who don't believe me. But I know HTML coding, I know a little bit of CSS coding. I do a lot of that kind of stuff. And I'm not blaming anybody, but sometimes people get irritated when you start questioning things. But you're college students. I want you to question things. I want you to question me when you hear me say certain things that you've heard different, that you may not agree with, because that's how we learn things. Is not to just accept what somebody says, is to say, oh, really? Then why do you believe that way, etc. Because opinions are worthless. Opinions mean nothing. My opinion means nothing. Your opinion means nothing. Now, when I say opinions, everybody's got an opinion. But when somebody gives you an opinion on nutrition, they need to back it up with some facts, some studies, and some research. Not that you need to quote all that, but why do you believe a certain way? And you'll find out very often a lot of people say things and they don't really have any reason. You start questioning them, especially with nutrition, as to why they say that or why they believe it, and they don't know. It's just something they heard or somebody told them or what they may believe. And they may honestly believe it. And then when you point out something different, it kind of opens their eyes a little bit. At least somebody that's open-minded. I have a lot of opinions on things, and if somebody points to something that's different and they can back it up, I'm always willing to change my opinion or what I believe. But I've been teaching this class for so many years and study it. I've studied it. There's not a doctor that studied it more than I have, because I read up on it every day. A couple of hours and things like that. And if you read my page, you'll find out the Canvas site. I have a little page called Nutrition is More Than Just Food. If you actually read that, you'll find that why I believe this way and kind of what's going on in the nutrition world, and why there's, even today with so much information out there, why there is so much bad advice and why people are told certain things. And it blows my mind to hear some of this stuff from professional people. It's just incredible to me. And we'll get into that. For example, like the advice they get concerning diabetes and fasting, which is very healthy, and just a number of things. And you'll figure that out during this class. I think when you finish this class that you'll know more about nutrition than 98% of the people out there. And I don't care what their degree is. I don't care if they have a PhD or they're an MD or they won the Nobel Prize. You will know more about it. Now, you may not be an expert in biology, and if somebody said, well, tell me the 50 different functions of vitamin B12, I could list a bunch, but I couldn't list all 50. That doesn't mean they know about nutrition. They know about vitamin B12. A better question, once again, would be to explain what vitamins are, how they work, and there's a lot of fake stuff out there when it comes to vitamins. It's being sold in the stores and all kinds of things. Well, we're in screen share, so I've got a window open. This is Google, I think. Let me close that. I thought I had a Valley window open. Let me double check here. I should be able to, oh yeah, here we go. I thought that was a funny little thing, penguin pushing. Anyway, you'll get a little bit of this stuff like that from me. Now we're in a course. Let me go to the home page. This is section 70. Some of you may be in section 71 or 72. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all treated the same. So this is the home page. I constructed all of this. Valley just gives you the Canvas shell. You have to know how to do this. This is HTML program, these boxes. This is even HTML program. Click on that. It shows their missions and values. If you're really bored, you can read all that. But anyway, even on their homepage, Valley's homepage, they have this little guy. I actually knew how to. They put that on YouTube, and you can cut and paste the embedded code and make your own thing. And they actually said that you couldn't do that because it was impossible. But once again, I showed them actually you can do it. So they didn't get mad. They just thought it couldn't be done. But what I'm talking about on the screen narrowing, instead of just putting here, these are called animate progress bars, boxes. You click here, it'll take you somewhere else. This is the syllabus online view. Now, if you want to download the syllabus and print it out, that's right here. Now I'm going to show you. When I click here, down here, that's it. I can open it. That's a hard copy of the syllabus. You can print out or save it to your computer. See, it's in Word. That's the whole syllabus with all the dates and everything all explained. You know what's interesting about Word? If you know how to do it, these are actually, let me go down to the bottom part here. These are actually links. If I hover over this, it'll tell you control click. If I do control, hold control key down and click it, it'll actually take me there to the website from the Word document. But you don't, you can print this out if you want. You don't have to. Let me close that here. Word. I don't want to close everything out. But anyway, you can download it and print it. The online view is right here. That means it's in Canvas. It's on the computer, it's online. You see how that narrowed? That got really narrow? That's what I'm talking about. It should be at least to here. If you have a widescreen monitor, it will do the same thing to you. And if that happens, just let me know, because all it needs to do is a couple students to say, hey, it narrows, and complain. That they said, well, it only affects, when it only affects the professors. I said, no, I bet you when a student has widescreen, I'll bet you that will narrow. So if that's the case, let me know. Most people don't use widescreen, but some do. And when I go to edit, it goes to narrow on every page. But anyway, this is a syllabus. You can read all that. It has all the instructions. It has a lot of stuff in there. Even the links to the meeting, links to this meeting is actually right here. I'm always going to send you the link, but in case you don't check your announcements, that's the link. And I don't have these meetings every week. We have 7. The next one is not until February the 16th. But I'll still be in touch with you. But on the Canvas site, this is where you need to go for everything. If you go to modules on the left over here, if you don't remember anything, remember this, go to modules. This is just information for your information. And they're done by weeks. This is where you begin. This is week number 1. Now, if you click on this, every week has one of these expectations and goals. I wouldn't get too hung up on this. I don't actually expect you to remember all that. You have to put it in there, so I put it in there. But anyway, in the reading assignments, like I said, that's, I'm not gonna, you're smart, you can figure that out. But what is really important are these study guides. Like for example, the first week, you click that, here's the first study guide. And this is the online version, but if you want to download it, which you really should do, you click here. And once again, here it is, and you can open it and download it. And that way you can work on it and have it for the test. So anytime you're like, oh, I'm in this, how do I go back? If you get lost, just go back to modules over here. And you can say, okay, I'm going to download this second study guide. Now, I used to make them open them week by week, but I had some students pretty conscientious that said, I want to get most of my study guides done as soon as I can. That way I don't have to worry about it later, especially if you go to these little meetings. But let me show you the meetings first.
Can anybody hear?
For Zoom over here is where you join. Does somebody have a question?
Sorry, yeah, you froze.
Oh, I did. Can you still see me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, my internet connection, sometimes it fades in and out. You probably hear a phone ringing in the background, so pardon, that's my fault. So if you get lost, go back over here to modules. This is where really everything is. Some of this other stuff is interesting. I'm gonna give you a little hint right here, and not to keep you from writing these down when we have these little meetings. Oh, and by the way, it's 6:30, so it's kind of the middle of the meeting. Let me give you the second code. So write this second code down. The numbers are 233. So the second code is 233, okay? And I'll give you the third code here in about 30 minutes. 233. So once again, these, where it says module, that's a week. Now these over here, that's just for your information. I'm going to show you one that I made that I would be really surprised if anybody else that teaches, I'm not trying to sound arrogant, maybe I am, I apologize if I'm coming across that way, but I'd be surprised if anywhere, at any college, even a community college, knows how to do this, because you have to know HTML programming, but I do this for your benefit. Wow, I don't know what happened to that. I actually have to put that module back. That's the recorded ones. Oh, here we go. That's this one right here. All recorded Zoom meetings, current, that means for this class, and in the past. So if you miss any Zoom meetings, like tonight, and you're wondering where it is, or you miss the next one, it's going to go to modules and click this right here. It tells you how you can do this. There's 3 ways you can do it. I upload it to a channel I have. It's my name, called Dr. Alan Hope. This is just a YouTube channel. Hope YouTube doesn't kick me off for anything I say. I don't think so, because I'm by the way, I'm non-political. When I say non-political, people try to ask me, are you for Trump or against him, or for Biden or against him? I just say, I don't know. I don't really think about it. I'm not for or against anybody. I haven't seen any big difference in my life, whether the president is Republican or Democrat, or Congress is Republican or Democrat. It seems like things are still the same as far as I'm concerned. So I don't really try to get in those kind of arguments with people. I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong. I just don't think about it enough. I'd rather think about things that are more important, like your health and nutrition. And you guys at your age, things that are more important are probably health, family, your degree, money, that kind of stuff. So people have a right to be political, but I'm just not. But anyway, these are the recorded meetings from the past. It has the date. You can put colors on them. You have to know how to do that. So this one right here, this is today. If I click that, you're going to see nada. Yes, hablo español muy bueno. So you can actually speak to me in Spanish every now and then, but mainly English. Actually, mi español is malo. But anyway, I'm going to put it on YouTube. It'll be there. I'm actually going to download it from Comfort Zoom, and I use video editing software. That'll be right here. But I'm going to give you a little hint. This is the first Zoom meeting. So I don't know, going back to my previous class, this is summer, obviously summer. I think that was the first one from the fall. If you click that, then here you are, September 14th. You can watch that. And I have a lot of good information in that, which is gonna be a little bit different than this, but are the 3 codes that I'm gonna give you for this meeting the same as these codes? Yes. So if you wanted to click ahead and say, oh, in that case, I'm gonna watch this one, and that'll be the same 3 codes for the next Zoom meeting. That'll probably be, it will be the same. I don't change those codes. But if somebody actually is able to do that, that's fine. But that module doesn't open up until the week. So these are all set up like you click it and it goes to that date. And it gives you options down here to add. For example, let me go back to October 5th. Did I record one then? Yeah, that's the YouTube video right here. The Zoom recording, you click that, it takes you to that. And that's the one that I used with video editing software. They're all the same, but this is usually the best one. So if you miss the meeting, here they are. They're all right here. I set the dates here for these, even though there's nothing there yet. So all of that information is actually right here in the module section. That's called all recording Zoom meetings. All the announcements that I send, in case you miss an announcement, right here. All class announcements are in here. For this class, here they are. These are all the ones that I've sent, but you can go to announcements over here and get them the same way. But if I click on these, that goes to each announcement. So if you say, I can't find the announcements, then go here. That's where they are. Now, going back to modules, this is what you need to do this week. It will tell you. So let me go back to this. If you click on the first thing, I scroll down. These are the 2 study guides that you need to work on for this week, but I'll show you how you can get them all at once. And this is what's due this week. This little 15-point quiz, that's a freebie. We already talked about that. I'll give you the 3rd code here in a little bit, and if you want to take the quiz, then remember we're in the modules. Go to modules. Week 1, click here. I'm going to click here. It says, please enter the 3 codes given to you. And I'm going to do preview because this is what you'll see. And what is code 1? See here. And then it'll say the next question. Preview because it's showing 1 question at a time. Like question 2. Hopefully shows that. What is code 2? It won't do that on you. It should, once you answer question 1, it'll go to question 2. And question 2, I hope I'm giving these to you right. 233, right there. So that's a free 15 points. So going back, you say, oh, and once you take this and you enter it, then you'll notice on your grade, then you'll get 15 points. Now, what else is due this week? You say, well, okay. Now remember, you have until Sunday. What else is due this week? You say, oh, this little thing, class discussion is worth 20 points. That's another free 20 points. All these discussions, if you just do what they ask, you'll get your points. Let me click here. It says get to know your neighbors, blah, blah, blah. And little funny video here you can watch. But anyway, see, some people are already doing this. That's cool. And then I grade them at the end of the week. And if you just halfway did a decent job, I mean, try to, make it decent. You don't need to type 2 pages of who you are, etc. Like I said here, welcome to nutrition. Take a moment to reply. Tell us your name, where you're from, why you're interested in nutrition. Just a few sentences, and that's it. It's worth 20 points. And I told you a little bit about myself here. Kind of, this is my reply. You can say, wow, this is only 3 sentences long, but I would give myself 20 points out of 20. I would give you 20 out of 22, as long as you, answer this right here. You don't type a page, but it can be a paragraph, it can be half a page if you wanted. But that's all that's due this week. Now, going back to modules. So I'm going to go back to modules here. You can say, okay, I want to start module 2, but if you'll notice, this module doesn't begin until January the 25th. That's the way the modules are set up. They unlock week by week. So even though you want to do all this, you have to wait till it unlocks, which is midnight, Sunday at midnight it unlocks for the upcoming week. Just like the assignments for the previous weeks are due Sunday at 11:59, 1 minute before the next module unlocks. I don't think anybody's going to be working on it Sunday at midnight. However, now remember, I'm in the module section. If I scroll down here, here's all the study guides. Right here. If you want to work on these study guides, this module is open now. So you say, wait a minute, study guide 4 is not on test number 1. So let me click study guide 4. Whoa, right there. There it is. So you could actually download it. Now it takes you to this right here, which you don't really need. That's a Canvas thing. I don't like the way it does it, but here's the download version right here. That's a Word document. So you can click on that. I can click open, and that's, oh my goodness. It says study guide number 1. Oh, maybe I clicked study guide number 1. I don't know. Let me double check here. I thought I clicked 4. Study guide 4, and it's downloading 1. Why it's doing that, I don't know. I'll have to double check on that. It says download, so you can do it right here. Download study guide 4. Let me see if it does something different here. Yeah, there's study guide 4 right here. So it downloaded it. So, you could save it to your computer because this is a Word document. But anyway, I have to tweak all that. But that's how you can get all the study guides. Now remember, I'm going to go back to modules. And remember, all these study guides are down here where it says .docx file. It's just a Word file. But they open up week by week. So if you want to do study guide number 4, we're not in week number 2 yet. So you can say, oh, wait a minute. Let's say you want to work study guide number 2. Well, that's in the 2nd week. There's no test until like about a month from now. You can say, I want to work on that, but this module doesn't open to January the 25th. You say, oh, I know how to get it. I'll go to the bottom here and get it. So that's the reason I opened all these up, because a lot of students, they want to work on these together. So once again, I'm going to go back to show you Conference Zoom. If I click on that, now, like this is our meeting tonight. The next meeting, Wednesday, every Wednesday. Why this has Monday, I don't know. There's nothing going on Monday. Sometimes they put stuff in that I have no idea what it's doing, but just ignore that. If I click on this right here, and click prepare and follow what it says, that'll open up on Wednesday, 3 to 5. And there's these other students there, and you can work on the study guides together. You can email each other, say, I'll work on one, I'll email it to you, find 4 other people, work on 4, find 15 people and work on each one, work on one that way you don't have to do one for the whole semester. I mean, it's up to you. But every Wednesday, there are those meetings. Now, I have no idea what this one is. This one on Monday, I don't know. Sometimes they get scheduled like this.
Doctor, I think it's your office hours.
You're right. Thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, that's true. Every Monday, I think it said that in the syllabus, didn't it, on the homepage, office hours?
Yeah, it said on the syllabus.
Yeah, but it just says 15 minutes. Oh, I know what it's talking about. Thanks, because I was getting ready to delete my office hours. Thanks for reminding me. And like I said, anytime you have a question, you can feel free to interrupt me. It doesn't bother me. I'm not that formal. It's a Texas.
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
What's the difference between the 2 study guides? So I saw we had Spotlight A and then Study Guide 1.
Yeah, this book has 15 chapters with it, but then it has like 6 or 7 of these study guides called Spotlight A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way through H, and one's called Spotlight Metabolism. Those are little things that are at the end of each chapter. They're different than the chapter study guides. So you do need to do those Spotlight study guides because there's some questions that come from those. So for example, the first test is over the first 3 chapters and Spotlight A and Spotlight B. Even though that's not 5 chapters, Spotlight A and B they're separate. I know that's more study guides. You go, oh no, that's 5 study guides. We'll understand that, but be smart. Just work one of them and have 4 other students work the other 4. And you can compare answers saying, hey, I got a different answer than you did for this. Once again, to ease your fears a little bit, if you have the study guides done, I don't think there's any way you can make a bad grade on the test. It would be almost impossible because you've got most of the tests already done, literally right there. It's very difficult to not do the study guides. It's not impossible, but if you don't have the study guides done and you try to take the test, I think I give you like 100 minutes for the test or an hour and a half. I can't remember. I think it's 100 minutes. I'd have to double check. Now there's 100 questions. That sounds like a lot, but it's really not because some of them are true, false, and they're all A, B, C, D type answers. And so when you have the study guide done, you got most of your tests done. You just have to look at it and go, oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. But if you don't do your study guides, even though the questions are in the book, it's going to take you forever to look them up. Sometimes open book tests are harder than regular tests. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that or not, but sometimes the instructors tend to make them more difficult than they really need to be. Study guides done, you're in good shape. The hardest part of this class, and it's not difficult, but the most time consuming is working the study guides. Now going back, this shows you how to, because somebody asked me about this. This reason this says 15 minutes here is because if you want to have a one-on-one session like office hours, you can go here, click this, and set an appointment on Monday and double check. It's between, I think I set it up between like 10:30 and 12:30 for a couple of hours. You want 15 minutes with me without a group thing, just like an instructor would keep office hours. You can do that. It's probably better just to message me or email me and ask me your question. And I always respond to messages or emails. But if you want that, then we can do that. And you can do it with your camcorder on or off. It doesn't make any difference, but you'll need your microphone on because that's a one-on-one thing. So that's what that is. So anyway, let me go back once again to the modules. This is where you need to always make sure you go back to. So go to modules and this is announcements. This is the syllabus. These 2 documents right here, complete list of vitamins. I don't know if anybody's looked at that yet. And another one called All Minerals Used Inside Your Body. I can tell you right now, you will not find anything like this anywhere on the internet, including Wikipedia, WebMD, all of it. And I didn't make an assignment out of this, but I made like a bonus discussion out of it. And I'll show you that in a minute. This document right here, a complete list of all vitamins. If you want to download it and save it to your computer, you can do that because you're not going to find it anywhere else. The reason I wouldn't print it out is because look at this right here. You see how long this is? 181 pages. I wouldn't print it out unless you got a lot of paper. But that's how extensive this document is. But I'm going to show you how easy it is to use. And I use the most current information. Some of it's from Wikipedia, some of it's from other sources, some of it's from places you can't even find anymore on the internet. And they have videos, little short videos associated with it. Talks about what is a vitamin. I don't expect you to know any of this, but you can watch a little video. What are vitamins? Difference between synthetic and natural. Click that, it goes into it. This is it. These are all the vitamins, pseudo vitamins, things that are called vitamins. And there's an explanation of the 13 recognized vitamins. They're in red. And the ones that are extremely toxic in yellow, the rest of the colors, it tells you all this have no meaning. Let's say you want to know about vitamin E, the first one called alpha tocopherol. All you gotta do is click on this. And you click on it, voila. Alpha tocopherol, got to have a little picture of it. And here it is. Here is an explanation of this vitamin. And you should watch this video because this vitamin is sold all over the place and there's a lot of evidence it's very dangerous. Now you need it, but the synthetic form is dangerous. All I can tell you is you have to watch the video. This lady's very good. She's an MD and she knows her stuff. But then again, under each vitamin, there's an explanation of what it is, what it does, etc. Now you can say, hey, I never heard of vitamin S. Somebody tell you there's no such thing as vitamin S. That's somewhat true, but if you click vitamin S, it'll tell you that it's sometimes referred to as salicylic acid. It's more related to an aspirin than anything else. It tells you sometimes it's called B11. And there's a video about what is salicylic acid in 4 minutes. There's a video about each one of these vitamins that you can click on. And people sometimes like to play with it a little bit because it's kind of, I put some things that are interesting, say, hey, what is vitamin X? I never heard of that. Here's what vitamin X is. It's the name of a band. And hey, here's the video from vitamin X. It's hardcore rock. So if you don't like hardcore rock, don't watch this video. Anyway, it's even tells you it's a Dutch band from 1997. But sometimes some people sometimes use it referring to PABA. PABA is actually the name of another vitamin. And I think I actually have that in there somewhere. Yeah, PABA. So what is that? I never heard of that. Well, read up on it. It's not one of the 13 vitamins, but this in 1 minute, this guy's good. He tells you about what it is, and this talks about what it does. So any vitamin, and this is the current information. Just because somebody says it's not a vitamin, you got to remember how these vitamins are named. They're named for somebody said, okay, we're going to have 13 of them. Well, there are some that are very close to these 13 that, like, for example, CoQ10 is actually should be a vitamin, but they don't tell you that. And I think a lot of people refer to it as vitamin Q. So if you click on vitamin Q, I'll talk about that. Sometimes called CoQ10. Somebody unmute. Has anybody ever heard of CoQ10? Yes, I know you have because they sell it all over the place. Well, what is it? In 1 minute, this guy talks about it. And this talks about what it is and what it does, etc. That's vitamins. And I have another document in modules called, let me go back to modules. Canvas is slow loading. These are such extensive documents that Canvas barely allowed me to put them in because they take up so much room, but I was able to actually do it. So vitamins, and here's the one on minerals. Same type of setup. Here you go. Here's all the minerals. It talks about, these are all the minerals that are actually in your body. And it talks about the major minerals, the trace minerals, electrolytes, minerals that can be dangerous. And there's little videos associated with each one. But what's interesting on this is based upon a person that weighs 150 pounds. It tells you how many pounds of that mineral are in you. For example, did you know if you weigh 150, that's pretty low for a guy. But anyway, 94.6 pounds, most of 2/3 of you is oxygen. Now, don't confuse that with, oh, wait a minute, I thought oxygen was, a gas, and how could it have much weight? Well, it's bound to other things in you, like H2O is water, and most of the weight of water is the weight of oxygen, and we're 60 to 70% water. So that's where they come up with these numbers. But I decided on these minerals because these are all the minerals that are actually in you. Now, some of them have no function, but they're in you. Now, how much? Not much. I mean, you go down here to gold, but you can say, oh, it has this sort of green color. Well, go back up here. There are 5 of these minerals with a possible function in the human body. They have now found that gold in very small amounts, how much do you have in you? It's almost unmeasurable, 0.000044 pounds. But there's some they found traces of gold in microscopic amounts. I'm talking about atoms, where they're measuring atoms that have to do with nerves and neurons, with the way they function. But you can say, oh, what do you mean? Click on gold. Where's it stored? That's just kind of interesting. The gold in you, where is it? How is it made? These are just fun things, but there's some evidence that just a little sentence here, I talked about gold. So you can read that. The gold in you, by the way, is made inside of, this is getting into astronomy, in the collision of neutron stars. I know that sounds bizarre, but it's not made in explosion of big stars, which are called supernovas. They proved that not. It's actually in the collision of 2 neutron stars. Watch this video. It's quite amazing. The gold on your ring, the gold in all on Earth was actually not made here. It was made billions or millions of light years away by 2 stars colliding. I know that sounds strange, but you have to watch all this and etc. But there's the major ones, like for example, you click on magnesium, boom, it'll tell you what is magnesium in 4 minutes. Warning signs, you need more magnesium, very interesting. And it tells you what it does. So any mineral you think you have too much of or not enough of, go to this document. This is nutrition, and vitamins and minerals are an important part of it. Now, guys, we don't have much more of the meeting left, maybe 10 more minutes. But these documents, if you go to discussions, well, now let me go back to modules, because the discussions just list the discussions. These, I made freebies. I have a lot of free points in here, almost 200 points worth, even though there's like 1,800 in the class, 200. If you add it up, it's 2,000 and something, or free points. I don't know when the first one is. If it says bonus discussion or bonus points, those are little sound clips that you can actually look up on the internet. That's worth a bonus point. It's at the end of each module. It's a little sound thing that's kind of fun. I even have that on the homepage. I'll show you in a minute. Another bonus discussion. It's only worth 3 points, but it's worth doing. But the ones on vitamins, here we go. Now this is a graded one, which means it's part of your grade. Where did I put that? Oh, this one, there's 3 of them. This is one called the 8 Components of Nutrition, optional discussion, bonus, 50 bonus points, just for doing it. That's significant. So when we get to that module, I would do that. You get 50 points, but it's not open until then. That's this one, and then there's one. There's one somewhere, I can't remember where, on vitamins, worth 50 points. And there's one somewhere on minerals worth 50 points. Let me scroll back down through this. If I can't find it, no big deal. I actually know it's in here. Somewhere, there's the 8 components. I know I'm going fast. Where did I put that? Yeah, I better put it in here. If I didn't, I'll go back and add it. 20 points. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh, I made one discussion out of it. Right here. Optional, 50 points. You can choose a vitamin or mineral document. Now, to get 50 points, you have to read. It tells you what to do. You can't just say, oh, I liked it. I read this vitamin and cut and paste it. That doesn't work. But if you do what it says, that's a free 50 points. But that's not until module 2. So that's not until next week. And it's only open during that week. So, take advantage of these. That's free points. I mean, let me click on it real quick. So it tells you what to do right here. And it even has links to it. And when you do it, you submit it. At the end of the week, I'll see who submitted it. And then I'll give you, however, if you get all 50, if you did everything that you're supposed to do, you get 50 points. If you miss a little bit of it, then maybe you get 45 out of the 50. If you only did half of it, then you're going to get 25 out of 50. But that's not an F, that's bonus points. That's just points that are added to your grade. Now, when I go to grades, I can do this because nobody has any grades yet. These things right here means these people have already done this introduction discussion. But like tonight, this is out of 15. It'll show either points. I'm not sure how it's set up. It'll either show you got all 15 points, or it'll say 100%, one of the two. I think it's going to say percentages, but on the bonus points, those are free, and I have a ton of those things. This is all just to get you to have a good grade. I mean, if you go to like I said, we're almost done here, guys, so bear with me. If I go back to, did I go out of this course? Probably. Go back into it. If I go back into it and I go to grades, I try to tell people, don't be overwhelmed by all of this. It looks like a lot of stuff, but it's really not that bad. I think I have a separate section. It's called grading. So I click on this and it goes into all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And this is, you say, there's nothing here. You got to click this. You click on that and you go, oh my gosh, look at all that. But it's not that bad. Look at this, optional, 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 optional. These are all bonus points. 10 here, 10 here, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 50, 50. That's a lot of free bonus points. These videos right here are fun to watch. They're very informative. You'd be surprised. But these are optional. That's a 50 bonus point thing on water memory. And that's a free 20 points. So they're all bonus points. And all these conference Zoom meetings, even though they're little quizzes you have to take, those are just freebie points right there. These video quizzes, you watch these little quizzes or these little videos. Most of them are from YouTube, some aren't, but this one's not, called Vitamania. Actually downloaded it, actually had to pay, not a lot for it. Probably get in trouble because I put it on a Canvas site, but hey, I paid for it. So anyway, this is the best video, the best, talking about vitamins, what they are, what they do, and what they don't do. This will open your eyes. So those aren't bad. Right here, the 5 tests, that's what you have to work the study guides on. That's the hardest part. But once again, this intro, that's this week. Rebuilding them, that's a discussion. All these discussions are not difficult to score all the points on. So I wouldn't think, even though it looks like there's a lot, it's really not that bad. I promise you it's not that bad. I had plenty of A's in the last class, a bunch of them, just by people that did the assignment. But before I wrap this meeting up, and I'm going to go more over this in the second meeting, which is not until 3 weeks from now. And if you have any questions, you can ask them here in just a minute. Just bear with me a minute because we're almost done. Just to give you a little bit about nutrition, we're going to get into this, like I said, a little bit later, but I really need to touch on this tonight. If you yourself or a family member or a friend or somebody you know has diabetes, and diabetes is a plague in this country, and most doctors are giving good advice, but there's a handful of doctors that are not. Now, I've had people get upset saying you're trying to pass yourself off as an MD. I'm not trying to pass myself off as anybody. I am who I am, but I know this information on diabetes. If they are taking insulin, and I will stand by this statement, I can tell you right now that insulin does not cure diabetes. It makes the disease worse. It will only prolong the inevitable, and it will make the inevitable, which is death, come on much sooner than if they're not taking insulin. Now, I'm not telling you to come off insulin or tell them to come off insulin, because they may actually need it because the diabetes is so severe. But any doctor that prescribes insulin for diabetes is only treating the symptoms of diabetes. And you have to understand diabetes in detail to know this, which we'll go over this. But the insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas that actually lowers blood sugar level. It's complicated how it works, but it basically tells cells to let in glucose. So because cells use glucose for energy, just like your car uses gasoline. So that lowers your glucose level. And then the way they measure it's usually an A1C test, which tells what your glucose level was over the last 90 or 120 days. I can't remember. And it works. So a person has diabetes and they go, oh, it's really high. So the doctor gives them insulin, and they take insulin and they feel better and they function better, and they go in and have their A1C checked a month or two later. And the doctor says, oh, your A1C is great. It's like 8 and it's fantastic. And so we have your diabetes under control. No, they do not. Their A1C is better, but the taking insulin is a death sentence. It will kill you. And it may be years before it happens, but using insulin to treat diabetes is insane. It's like using alcohol to treat alcoholics. Let me give you an example. You got a friend that's an alcoholic. They're going to die. It's so bad that they have to check into a hospital or rehab place, and they take them off alcohol, and they're going to have all kinds of symptoms. The symptoms are almost the same for everything. No matter what you take too much of or addicted to, I can tell you what the symptoms are there. You're going to have massive headaches. You're going to feel sick. You might even throw up. You're going to feel horrendous. And they're going to go through severe withdrawal. Well, I know how to cure them. I'm going to sneak into the hospital and sneak them a beer or two. And so when I do that, they drink the beer. They go, oh, wow, I feel better. My headache went away. My symptoms went away. Wow, you cured my alcoholism. No, what you did was you cured the symptoms, but you made the alcoholism worse. You made them more addicted. Such is true with insulin. It's only treating the symptoms, but it's making the disease worse. How's it making the disease worse? Because insulin will damage the insulin receptors on cells, and those are the receptors that tell the cell to take in glucose, which cells need glucose. Well, the reason the person has diabetes in the first place, it could be a number of reasons. There's 4 types of diabetes. I don't have time to go into that now. But very often the reason is, majority of the time, is because the insulin receptors are damaged. They're not all damaged at once. Cells have thousands of them, but they're sort of burnt out because they've been overexposed to insulin. So the cell's not taking in glucose, and when you have 100 trillion cells, that's how many in your body approximately, not taking in enough glucose, your blood sugar or glucose level stays too high. So what do? They give you more insulin, and they give you so much insulin that it overwhelms your body and your cells with insulin that the remaining insulin receptors work. So it drives the glucose in and your glucose goes down, you feel better, your A1C works better. But that extra insulin is burning out the remaining insulin receptors because they have been damaged by overexposure to insulin. So you're making the disease worse. You're only treating the symptoms. And that's true with almost any disease. I don't have time to go into that. Hypertension, high blood pressure is the same way. You're not addressing the reason for the high blood pressure when you just give somebody high blood pressure or hypertension pills. You're only lowering the blood pressure, but you're not addressing what's causing it. And so what's causing it is still there and you're lowering it. So that's medicine for you. We, like I said, I don't have a lot of time to go into that, but that's the nature of insulin. Like I said, I'm not telling you to come off insulin, but even if you're type 1 diabetic, taking insulin 3 times a day is not as good as taking it once a day because you're taking too much. Well, why do they take it 3 times a day? Because our society is hung up on eating 3 meals a day. There is no medical evidence, physiological evidence, biological evidence for eating 3 meals a day. It's made up, it's man-made, and the people that tell you that do not have a clue as to what they're talking about. It's the same nonsense when people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I'm sick of hearing that. That is completely wrong, and people that say that are wrong. That is not a matter of opinion. There is no evidence for that, including for kids. I know where that came from. They've actually researched it. I'm going a little bit over here, but bear with me. They researched that back to the 1700s when teachers noticed that kids that ate breakfast, they did better, they scored better on tests, they behaved better. They were just better all the way around. And the kids that didn't have breakfast, they didn't do as well on the tests. They didn't behave as well and all these other things. Well, back in the 1700s, if you had breakfast, you had money and you were in a privileged group. And if you had money back then, you could afford books and doctors and housing and medicine. And parents that had those privileges would also feed their kids breakfast. Breakfast wasn't why they were behaving better. It was the other things, the other privileges that they had. It had nothing to do with the breakfast at all. And teachers today will tell you the same thing. Kids that have breakfast, I know they do better. I've had teachers tell me that. I've seen that. I believe them. But it's the same philosophy. Parents that feed their kids breakfast may actually believe that they need it and it's beneficial and they do better. But those kind of parents tend to be conscientious. They do other things. They study with them, they take care of them, they take them to the doctor. And these other things are why they do better, not the breakfast. They just happen to believe that the breakfast makes a difference. Other parents don't feed their kids breakfast because maybe they may believe it helps them, but they don't care about their kids anyway, so they don't feed them breakfast and they don't do other things. It's only correlational. There's no cause effect there at all. And people still promote that. And now there's nothing wrong with it either. But saying breakfast is the most important meal of the day is so insane. It's like saying putting gas in your car in the morning is the most important time of the day to do it. That's ridiculous. When your car is empty is when you need to put gas in it. Your body is the same way. It's when its food is empty. And physiologically, that's not enough time between meals. That has to do with apoptosis and autophagy, which we will talk about later. But it's just, if somebody says eating breakfast is important, eating 3 meals a day, that nonsense is promoted all the time. They say you need to keep your glucose level normal. That is incorrect. Your glucose level needs to oscillate. It needs to go up and down. Keeping it normal will actually trigger type 2 diabetes, cancer, and a lot of other diseases. People that say that do not understand what's actually happening inside the cell. That's why these series of videos that I've chosen actually talk about this by MDs and PhDs that actually know. Some don't, some know it, and some don't know it. And when I talk about that in when I say nutrition is much more than just what you eat. Do not go by somebody's title, including my title. Don't go by the fact that they'll say, well, I'm a doctor, I'm an MD, I have a PhD, I've taught nutrition for years, I've written a book, I've won a Nobel Prize in nutrition, I'm famous, I've made 1 million speeches. I could care less about all that. That's what you put on the resume. I want to know, what do you know about nutrition? There are people with no degrees at all that know a lot about nutrition, more than people that actually have these degrees or titles. Now, some people have these degrees or titles, do know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they always know. Don't assume that. I've seen situations where people have won the Nobel Prize in nutrition, and when they start talking about the concepts of overall nutrition, I'm like, wow, they don't know. They may have won the Nobel Prize for research in some form of vitamin D, but when they start talking about overall nutrition, they don't know. They know about vitamin D more than I do, but they don't understand the big picture. You've heard this phrase, you can't see the forest for the trees. I've seen that so much in nutrition. I will expose a lot of that in this class. A lot of what I'm going to say is going to be the opposite of what other people may tell you. And that's fine. You study it and you figure out for yourself what is important. And it's that information's all out there on the internet, but people don't pay attention to it. They don't read it, and they don't understand how significant it is to their life and actually what is going on. So guys, does anybody have any questions on anything before I give you the last 3 codes? They're going to say, wow, this guy is opinionated. I'm not opinionated because remember, everybody's got an opinion. I back this up with facts. And you're going to find, I've taught anatomy and physiology for years. I know anatomy and physiology. And just because somebody knows anatomy and physiology doesn't know they know nutrition. You have to understand what's happening at the cellular level. To really understand nutrition, you need to know what's going on at the deepest level. I've had trainers that I've worked with, and I've taught many of them that are really good at certain things. But when it comes to nutrition, their advice, a lot of them is just pure nonsense. Anybody that tells you that you need to eat more meat and you need to eat more protein to build muscle, that has been debunked 30 years ago. But people still say that. Muscle is not built by eating protein or meat or taking amino acid. It doesn't work that way. The most muscular animals in the world are vegans, and those are gorillas. You don't want to mess with a gorilla. Look at their rippling muscles. They're vegans. Vegans tend to be very muscular, by the way, and vegetarians. And there's nothing wrong with eating meat either, but it doesn't have the effect that people say that it does as far as building muscle. The people that say that, they just don't know. They don't know. Going back to the thing on breakfast, when the teacher or a parent says, well, eating, my kid has more energy and they do better, that's completely false. Food does not give you more energy. If you actually pay attention to your body, when you eat, you want to sleep. You eat a bunch of food, you feel like going to bed and going to sleep. And that's true with breakfast also. If I eat breakfast, I feel like going back to bed. You actually have less energy. It takes a while to digest the food, and then maybe several hours later, you have more energy. It's not like they tell you when you eat, you have immediate energy. So anybody want to unmute, ask a question on anything real quick?
Hello?
I know I've got some questions. So go ahead and unmute and ask anything you want, even controversial, I don't care. Or something you've heard that's different than what I've said.
Hi, doctor. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So in response to the breakfast not being,
Sure.
the main thing,
Right.
I agree with you on that. I heard something about that in the morning when you're in the fasting phase, having a big meal and opening up your stomach with such a big, instead of going by portions, like eating a small fruit or going incremental, it's more beneficial because in the long run, your body's gonna work harder throughout the day trying to break that food down, which will leave you Like you
No, I
said,
understand that, and it's nothing against what you've heard, but whoever told you that is clueless. Don't go and tell them that. I don't want to get them mad at me, but they don't know what they're talking about. That makes no
Yeah, you
sense.
know,
Yeah, that makes no
whatever
sense.
I see on the internet, you know, the things I see.
Yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah, a lot of people say stuff like that.
Yeah.
First of all, it not only is breakfast not the most important meal, it's the least important. If you're actually trying to lose weight, which a lot of people are, breakfast is the one meal you should skip, because hopefully you didn't wake up and eat it at 3 in the morning and night. And so you're actually having a little bit more fasting when you make it to lunch. And it takes at least 18 to 24 hours of eating nothing for your body to actually start burning from fat cells. And that's where weight loss is the reduction of fat cells. The rest of it's water weight, food weight in your stomach, and things like that. And so you have more fat cell reduction by actually skipping breakfast. Basically in nutrition, the longer you go between meals, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, the more time you have between meals, the healthier you'll be, the longer you will live, and the less disease you will have. Now, you need to eat healthy and fruits and vegetables and not eat too much. You learn that in junior high nutrition. But when I say longer between meals, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. Studies show that. People that eat once a day, there's a video on that in this website, they're much healthier than people that eat twice or 3 times a day. Much healthier, but they eat a bigger meal. And it might be, that meal might contain three times the amount of calories that you would get in 3 meals. And when people tell you you need eat a bunch of little meals during the day, that's complete nonsense. That's not only is that not a healthy way to eat, that's the worst way you can eat, because that keeps your blood glucose level normal. And normal blood glucose level interferes with apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. Cells don't die. Let me give you an example. Unhealthy cells like a cancer cell. You want to keep a cancer cell alive, keep your blood glucose level normal, because cancer cells use glucose, and they use 200 times as much glucose as a regular cell. So you keep it normal, and cancer cells tend to stay alive. But when you drop glucose level, you allow it to go up and down, which means down, which means you haven't eaten in a while. Your glucose level gets low, not dangerously low, but that kills the unhealthy cells in your body called apoptosis, programmed cell death. Cancer cells, old cells, the disease cells, they start dying off, but they only die off in a low blood glucose environment. That's called apoptosis. There's been a couple of Nobel Prizes awarded for that, which we will get into, but that is, now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with eating 3 meals a day. If you don't overeat and you eat healthy and you can be normal weight, can you be healthy? Yes. Are you going to be as healthy as you could by eating 2 meals or 1 meal? No. You just won't be. Even though you may be healthy, you'll be healthier the other way. And research bears that out. There's tons of studies on people that actually eat this way. And that's just a fact. When people say that's an opinion, it is not an opinion. That's like saying the world is round. The world is round is an opinion, it's flat. And there are people that actually believe that. They have a whole website, have a link to it called Flat Earth Society. There's like a couple of million people that believe the world's flat. And they have statistical data and they point to all these reasons. Well, they're wrong, regardless of whether they call it an opinion or not. And I can guarantee you, it is not an opinion that eating less often is healthier for you. You remember this one phrase, you don't have to eat less, although that helps. You need to eat less often. And when I say less often, the more eating every other day there's a video called alternate day fasting. This big time bodybuilder got into that. He talks about it. And I'll talk about it later in later Zoom meetings. Is actually what happens when you don't eat for an entire day. If you're not used to doing it, I can tell you what happens. This is what will happen. You'll get a headache, you don't feel good, you'll have lack of energy, and you feel like you can't function, the world's coming apart, you want to kill somebody. I'm exaggerating, but people sometimes they have these withdrawals because they're so addicted to eating and glucose that they can't go a day without eating, which is insane because your body can go 60 days 2 months of not eating before you starve to death. And that's a normal weight person. Now, that's not a healthy thing to do. Don't get me wrong. Pushing it beyond a month is risky. But there's all kinds of instances of people fasting for weeks and the benefits to their body. Now, if you're anorexic, don't do that. I had one girl in one class, she got so upset. She said, I can't believe you're talking about not eating for days when so many girls are anorexic. And I said, so many are anorexic? I said, do you know how many girls are anorexic compared to overweight? 1 to 100. Obesity affects 100 compared to 1. So she's talking about the 1%. I said, if you're anorexic, you probably shouldn't even skip a day. But anorexia is not an eating disorder. It's a body image disorder. That people think they're overweight when they look like a skeleton. And they're actually what the girl out man weigh 80 pounds and she thinks she's overweight. That has nothing to do with eating. That's body image. And so what they do is they eat less because they think they're overweight. But it starts with body image. That's a psychological disorder. And bulimia is a little bit different. Bulimia is where you eat and throw up. Anorexia is by far worse than bulimia. Bulimia is gross, but people don't die from bulimia. People die from anorexia. So we'll get into that later. So I know you got a lot of questions and stuff, but you know, we'll have another one of these Zoom meetings. You can always message me or text me about some of this kind of stuff, some of the things you might think about. But guys, I'm going to give you the last code. So make a note of this. It's 324. Okay, 324. So I'm going to end this meeting. I'm going to record it, tweak it, add some stuff, upload it later. But you don't need that unless you've missed the meetings, but some people did. So when we end this meeting, go to the modules section. I'll show you once again, real quick. So go to modules. We're in this meeting. There's a lot of ways to get to this, but you can go to module 1, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. This is the conference. This is the meeting, quiz. And there it is. And on yours, it'll probably say, take the quiz or something like that. Enter the 3 codes. A little reminder, once again, first code's 434, second code 233, last code 324. Okay, guys? I enjoyed meeting you guys. Take the quiz so you can start the grade with 100%. Anybody have any last questions before we go?
Yes, when you said you were gonna tweak the meeting, or I don't know if you're planning to edit or cut some of the meeting, the recordings right now. There's some
no, yeah, actually a little bit. I upload it to YouTube and then I download it from Conference Zoom and I add like an introduction and little things. Nothing that you need to worry about. You got the 3 codes from the meeting. That's all you need.
Yes,
I just do that because I do video editing and stuff like that. It'll be in the meetings later if you want to watch it.
Really? Okay. Because you said some information that I would like to go back and listen to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it will be recorded and it'll be put in that one that said, that module says all recorded meetings. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, guys, I'm going to stop the share. Have a good evening and I will take the quiz and I will talk to you guys before too long. Bye.